Most writing about horses tells us what to do. Stand here, move there, apply this aid, use this exercise.
Good boy.
There is value in all of that. We all need practical skills, and I'm certainly not suggesting they don't matter. But over the years, I've found myself becoming less interested in collecting techniques and far more interested in something else completely. What are we already doing while we are with our horses without ever realising it? Because I keep noticing something. Two people can use exactly the same approach, the same exercise, and the horse responds completely differently. I've seen it hundreds of times. One person walks into the space and within moments the horse begins to soften. There is no obvious cue, no dramatic moment. The conversation simply starts. The next person walks in, having watched everything. They know the exercise, they know the timing, they copy what they have just seen, yet the horse hesitates. Perhaps the feet become slower. Perhaps the ears drift away. Perhaps there is just the slightest tension that wasn't there before. Nothing looks wrong, and that's what makes it so interesting. For a long time I wondered what the horse was responding to. If the technique looked the same, why wasn't the conversation the same? Most people assume it must be experience or confidence or better timing. And sometimes that's true. But often, I don't think that's the whole story. I think the horse is responding to something much quieter, much more nuanced. A breath that changes just before we ask. Shoulders that tighten without us noticing. A mind that has already moved on to the next step, while the horse is still fully present in this one. An intention that becomes just a little too focused on getting an outcome. These are tiny changes. Most of us don't notice them, but our horses do. They have always had to. Imagine living as a prey animal.
Good boy.
Every day your survival depends on reading the smallest changes around you. The rhythm of movement, the direction of someone's attention, the tension carried in another body. Whether the approach feels calm or whether something underneath carries pressure. That isn't a trick horses have learned. It is how they have survived for thousands of years. And when we step into their space, they continue doing exactly what nature designed them to do. They read us. Not just our hands, not just our posture. They read our breathing, our focus, our emotional state, our level of presence. Whether we are here with them or somewhere else entirely. I sometimes think we underestimate just how much information we are constantly giving away. Because we don't notice it ourselves. We live in a world that rewards thinking ahead, planning, solving, achieving, ticking the next box. Our horses don't live there. They live here, in this breath, in this moment. That difference creates some of the misunderstandings we experience. We're concentrating on doing the exercise correctly. The horse is asking a completely different question. Can I trust what I'm feeling from you right now? That's a very different conversation. One of the greatest lessons horses have taught me is that they rarely respond to who we think we are. They respond to who we are being. Those two things are not always the same. I remember years ago watching someone become increasingly frustrated because the horse simply wasn't responding. Nothing what they were doing seemed to work. The more they tried, the harder they worked. The more determined they became. But every extra effort carried a little bit more tension. Every attempt to improve the situation actually moved them further away from the horse, from their goal. The breakthrough didn't come when they learned a new technique. It came when they stopped. They took a breath. They let go of the need to make something happen. Within seconds, the horse changed. People often say, the horse relaxed. I'm not convinced that's what happened. I think the horse noticed that the human had relaxed. The horse finally felt safe enough to join the conversation. And that's a very different way of looking at it. And perhaps that's why I find myself asking different questions these days. Not, how do I get my horse to do this? But, what am I bringing into this moment that my horse is already aware of? And that question has changed almost everything for me. And is certainly a lesson that the Spanish Mustangs has reinforced. Because once you begin asking it, you stop searching for the next answer quite so quickly. Instead, you become curious. You begin observing. You notice your breathing before you notice your reins. You notice your thoughts before you ask your horse another question. You notice whether you're trying to achieve something or whether you're genuinely listening. None of this is about becoming perfect. I have off days. We all do. You have off days. Our horses have off days. This isn't about getting rid of every moment of tension or uncertainty. It's about becoming aware of them. Awareness changes things. Not because we are fixing ourselves, but because we can no longer pretend we didn't see it. The moment something becomes conscious, we have choice. Before that, we only have habit. I think that's one of the greatest gifts horses offer us. They reveal the habits we cannot yet see. Not to judge us, not to test us, not to make life difficult. Simply because they respond honestly to what is actually there.
Good boy. Right.
I've often said that horses live in the truth. Not the stories we tell ourselves. Not the image we project. Not the person we hope we appear to be. The truth of this moment. That can feel uncomfortable. It certainly has for me over the years, but it is also incredibly freeing. Because once we stop trying to become someone different, we can begin paying attention to who we already are. And that's where real learning begins. Not in collecting another exercise, not in finding another method, not in believing someone else has the secret, but in becoming a better observer of ourselves, of our horses, of the conversation that's already taking place every time we step into their space. So this week I'd like to leave you with one question. The next time you're with your horse, before you ask anything, pause for just a moment. Take one slow breath. Notice your body. Notice where your attention is. Notice whether you're already thinking ahead. Then simply observe your horse. Not to see whether they do something right or wrong. Just notice. Because you might discover that the conversation began long before you asked your first question. And if that's something you've experienced yourself, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What has your horse helped you notice about yourself that you might otherwise have missed? And if you enjoy these moments, these field notes in motion, subscribe, catch up with the next one. So until next time, keep listening. Take care. Bye for now.